What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Community Farm Alliance podcast. I'm your host for the Blackberry series. My name is Vaughn Barnes, and today I have with me a guest out of Winchester, Kentucky, Tatum Lewis. We met each other out on his farm. What was it? Before the Black Farmers Conference, and I did not realize I knew this guy before I knew this guy. I actually knew him on the football field when he was a football player at UK. But now, Tatum, I gotta ask, how did you go from football to agriculture? Tell us about this.
Well, it wasn't really a big transition from football to agriculture because it's always been in my family. So, my family's been farming for almost up to 70 years. It's kind of like a legacy thing for me. We started out in Bath County. If you know too much about Kentucky's geography, Bath County is more eastern towards the gateway to God's country is what they call it. So growing up, I was already invested with tobacco and farming and corn and the industry like that from beef cattle and on. So I've always been a farmer at home. So I guess it was easy for me to come out of college and go, you might want to give this a try since I've already tried the Fortune 500 and working for, corporate America. I was like, man, let me get back to the roots of things that I used to do and what I grew up on and what gave me the focus and the discipline that I have now.
What's the name of your farm and what do you guys do on the property?
So as you said, we're located in Clark County, which is Winchester, Kentucky. The name of the farm is Blackroots Farm. Hopefully I get to add the S to the farms to make it plural, multiply bountifulness.
That's right.
But right now we do logging, we do vegetation, vegetables, produce sales, and we do alfalfa for the equine industry. So, if you need hay or anything, we're your people.
I bet that's really booming out there with Lexington at your neighbors, all the horses out there in Lexington.
Well, funny enough, a lot of my customers actually come from the deep south. So where it's difference in rains and storms and their conditions, a lot of people are buying grass from the northern states. And I hate to say that we're a northern state when we're the SEC, but from the northern states that have better weather or grass grains that's cut better. So a lot of people buy from me because Kentucky already has a surplus of hay. So out of state, you're getting into that.
What is the problem that those people down in the South are facing, and why do they come all the way to Lexington or the gateway to the South, as you would say, Kentucky, to get hay?
Well, I'm not a scientist or any medical professional, but environmental professional, but I would have to say the increments in weather and climate change, it's real. So down there, they're getting more floods, hurricanes, natural disasters, which uproot plants, and they're hurting down there. So when it comes to their equine and industry, they have to go somewhere else. I mean, I never thought in my entire life hay would be brokered like stocks and bonds. Like you could go to a hay auction and broker for hay, we want 250 bills from said farm going for this price. And I was like, man, this is crazy. I thought the vegetable game was crazy, but the hay game going to Texas, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, boy, they love them some hay from Kentucky. It's kind of like California and Colorado loving dirt from Kentucky for what reasons, but transporting that. So down there, the South has a need for it because they stay flooded. The weather increments is terrible, whereas, dark forecast. So for a month, they ain't get no good sunlight and they need stuff so we can provide.
Wow. I didn't realize you were shipping hay that far.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my customers love coming up that Georgia-Florida line.
I guess everybody comes up 65 to go get hay from Blackroots Farm. Outside of hay, when we were talking on your farm, you had mentioned, doing things for Winchester, the people of Winchester. You got your high tunnel and you have the property. What is it, or tell the people what it is that you plan on doing this growth season?
So with this growth season, we like to do the farm to table and farm to school. I got a couple activities actually coming up on the roster with Black Soil, which is hosted by Ashley Smith. Shout out to Ashley and shout out to Black Soil Kentucky. We're doing a lot of programming where we're going to have a farm to table visit with food and everything provided by Black Soil after they do a tour. So I'm trying to do a lot of educational roundups, especially for the youth, because where my farm's located is really unique. I'm not out in like the woods or anything. I'm slap dead in the center of my community. Like,
Right.
if you see the minority community, I'm here. Like, you can't really, it's like a hidden gem, but if you know and you're from the community, oh, that's where you need to go. They have corn, they have stuff. So really my farm's an essential tool for, I guess, a food desert is what you would call it, because we don't have a grocery store within my community.
How far is the closest grocery store to your property?
5 miles, homie. 5 miles, and that's outside the city limits. So you have a grocery distributor like Save-A-Lot, that's the 5 miles, but your Kroger's and Walmart are like 8 miles away. So that creates a food desert for your location, because you have, 15,000 people living in your area. They got to eat.
Right.
And not everybody can travel, because transportation, and especially with gas going up, don't even let.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's going to be real hard out there. So I'm trying to provide that and keep that, friendly ecosystem of people coming to my farm and purchasing food. Even if I have to deliver by hand and do rounds ups in the neighborhood, like, I know so-and-so's grandmother can't make it, and he's not here. So if she has an order, she just call and then I'll go drop it off. It's almost like a better click list, except the hood version of it.
Right. I appreciate that. That makes sense. I totally understand that. For me, with the deliveries that I do, that's the service that I provide to my customers. So I get it.
And that actually brings a lot more people together, because a lot of times I pick up more customers when I go meet them, and like they have a family member, like, oh, you got green beans, oh, is that a good tomato? I like that aroma. Hey, I'm coming over. And that's me doing my networking and my communion, and we're talking and chopping it up. And they just, I'm picking up customers at that point in time. They start by the farm. The ones who are mobile stop by the farm, come visit. It's like a big family reunion when people come over.
So you mentioned the community loving and having a good time with the groceries that you provide. How long have you been growing over there at Blackroots?
So I've been here established for 4 years, and the first year was demolition. You call me the demolition man. Like, I was in here rolling trees down, tearing houses and burying them. So for 3 years, we've actually been in full production, I would say, because that's the first year. My second year was the first year our stand of alfalfa got actually laid in. So for 3 years, we've been going strong.
Right.
But for 70 years, it's been in our blood. So it's just never really, not too many members have actually owned. And that's some of the story too, is me as a Black entrepreneur, because a lot of people don't realize being a farmer is like being an artist and an entrepreneur and all that. It's like all encapsulated into one, because you have to create this beautiful, help grow this beautiful organic, fruit or vegetable, and then you're posting it, because that's how I roll, is posting and word of mouth. And then people are, oh, that's so beautiful, well, I want to come out. And now you got to sell it like a salesman, like, yeah, we have Roma tomatoes for 50 cents on the pound. You come out. So if I would say, like, that's probably the best thing about it, is the fact that you have to become an entrepreneur when you're a farmer, most definitely, and an artist, because you have to sell your craft.
So it's a little bit of a multifaceted job, if you want to say that. You got the salesmanship right here, the artistry right here, the marketing ability right here. So you
are all, if you don't have like, so I'm not married or kids or anything, so it's just like me and my uncle, and then some random family. But if you don't have like someone doing those you're the one who has to do that. You are your mechanic, unless you know a mechanic. You are, like, if things break down, a farmer has to be first responder. I hate to say it, but farmers are first responders, because a lot of times when it goes down, they have to be the first ones to do it, unless it's something they can't do.
Did you know that CFA is a nonprofit organization that supports family farms, equity work, food access, and policy work across Kentucky? If you're interested in supporting any of this work, please go to cfaky.org and go to our donate tab in order to donate or become a member today. We really appreciate any and all help that we get, and it goes back to helping both farmers and consumers across the Bluegrass State. For more information, go to www.cfaky.org. Once again, that's www.cfaky.org. Thank you. And now back to our show.
What are some of the goals that you have for Blackroots Farm?
Being able to have people access healthy organic food, doing box gardens, that's the new big thing. Like especially with urban garden, box gardens are the biggest praise right now. People from the city love it. They absolutely love it. And having them come out and feel that, and just being around my family and the people I see as family, and that includes not just blood relatives, but best friends and brothers that I see as brothers and college roommates, having that network and that communion, that feel of, being a part of a bigger family, your internucleus family, you're broadening, you're coming out and learning things, and you're feeling that soul. Because when Black people farm, it's a soul feeling. Like you
right.
Oh, they just ain't doing this for economic gain, because everybody know being a farmer is not an economic gain. But I want people to have that sense of, like, when I come to Blackroots Farm, I'm part of the family. Like, I got a garden box, and me and Tatum go through our tomatoes and our green beans and our kales and stuff like that. And we talk about it, and you learn more about it. And now you're going home and teaching your friends just by the whim. You might not even mean to, but you be like, oh yeah, I grew kale. Girl, you grew kale? Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of things I want to start doing is programming with cooking. So like going to Sullivan and getting young chefs to come out and use our produce and have a cooking show, and just that rugged, this is how we'll do it if things go. Like, this is how you can cut up carrots and make carrots taste good if you hate carrots. I hate beets, honestly. You'll never see me grow beets unless there is a demand for it, or there's something I don't like beets. But I would love someone to teach me how to cook some beets other than putting sugar on them and putting them in the oven, calling them candy beets, and then I'm just over here.
So now you mentioned cutting stuff up. It brings up a story that you mentioned on your farm. Talk about that time when you butchered up a cow. You and your friends did it. Tell us that story.
So one of my horror stories of farming, when I first started out as a youth, I got into the industry with my uncle of doing livestock. I had some beef cows, and I love animals. Like, I feel like Dr. Dolittle might be the best Eddie Murphy series ever. Now, mind you, love the Nutty Professor and all, but I'm a Dr. Dolittle guy. I love animals. Like, that's my thing. And well, I never really understood growing up as a kid what happens to cows, like how hamburger, steak, and all that's really made, even though, I've been farming with my family. But I was doing tobacco, so I never really got to see when they go off to the stockyards or how they bought them. I just know, oh, we got cows, let's go. Or I've seen a cow help give a cow birth. But now when I look back on it, it was really traumatizing, because, taking them to the stockyards and your uncle informing you Betsy about to get a head cut off is completely wild to you, especially after you done named her Betsy. You're like, wait, I named her. We ain't got to do this. Like, this ain't how it's supposed to go. You wouldn't just take out a dog. But then again, they took out Old Yeller. So I was just like, yeah, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. Look, I just can't keep sending them to the slaughters. So, like, I haven't picked up no animals since I've come back to actually farm on my own independently.
Really?
But I'm thinking about chickens and goats.
Okay.
I'm thinking about chickens and goats. Shout out to my man across the screen. He shows me how dope goats are. But I know that with that, you do have to do a lot of protection and fencing. And I have coyotes out here. Even though I'm in an urban area, they travel on the tracks. Creatures travel on tracks. The more humans build out in the country, the more they're going to come in city, because they have to find food. So as of right now, we do have coyotes and stuff right here. So I have to like build a security prison, maximum security for goats and stuff.
I'll tell you just a little tidbit about fencing for goats. If they
it's pointless. It's pointless, right? It's pointless.
Right. If they can slip their head through, they're out. But if you could keep them fed and satisfied and whatnot, they're staying home.
Look, I can only imagine for you, your neighbor calls you and be like, your goats in my yard, or the goats down the street.
Oh my goodness.
So I know for me, my goats will be wow. They'd be all the way down City Hall at the police station talking about that. Tatum, your goats down here. I got the police calling me. Your goats are down here. You got to come get your goats.
The cool thing about what happens with me, I have a really good neighbor, and my neighbor, he's in the ag. Shout out to
so he understands.
He totally understands. He totally gets it. He'll call me or he'll send me a text message with a picture and like a smiley face emoji or something like that, and say, "Hey, look, I got him. Whenever you get back home, come get him." So, all right, here goes a curveball question, and we'll get back in the ag. But this is the Blackberry series. What berry best represents Blackroots Farms? Go.
What berry? Right off the top of the head, I would have to say, I don't want to make it about me, but I'd have to say a raspberry, because one, it's a unique, and the name is unique. I mean, you have all the different berries like elderberry, gooseberry, mulberry, mulberry. But you got all those berries, but I don't know. Raspberry just seems like that individual berry that stands out, like that berry that you go, oh, I'm getting raspberry today. You know, it's just that random berry that you don't think to get. I mean, yeah, you got your, like you said, your elderberries and, you know, gooseberries and stuff like that and winterberries. But out of all the berries that you can actually eat that ain't gonna either kill you or whatever, I'm a raspberry guy. I like the color, the little hairs on it. You know, it looks friendly, it looks inviting, and that's how Blackroots is. You want to know more about the raspberry because you're like, well, how the hell did they get its name? Raspberry.
How does the raspberry have a silent letter? Like,
They're like
you spell raspberry.
Is there a Z in there?
Where'd the P come from?
Yeah. So you're like, oh, let me know more about a raspberry. And that's what I want people to feel when they come to Blackroots is I want to know more about farming. I want to know more about Blackroots. What's so great about Blackroots? Why is the community growing because of Blackroots? Because we're feeding people, we're talking to people, we're nurturing mentally, physically, and spiritually. So that's what Blackroots is supposed to be. So I imagine a raspberry is that way. And I might be wrong, but that's my take on it, and I'm sticking to it.
You mentioned nourishing the people and feeding the people spiritually. What's your take on the environment that you create when people come around, and how do they feel when they leave your place? What's their spirits like?
When people leave here, they leave with a smile. Like that's part of the, hate to say it, customer service, but at the same time, part of my nature is, and my family's nature is, we'll chop it up with you. We know you came for that order. We have your order ready. But we want to do a wellness check with you. We ask those kind of questions. I could be pound the book. This is what, you know, Dole does. This is what Chiquita does. This is how they run theirs. This is the iron fist of farming, like straight business. We don't talk. No, it's more personal because you're selling people your blood, sweat, and tears in a physical food form to nourish their body. So essentially, you're sacrificing yourself as a farmer to feed more people. I just always had a good feeling when people leave, like even if they're having the worst day, they come and get stuff and they get produce, they get hay. Even if they come and pick up a truck full of wood, we'll talk with them, we'll chop it up. It could be snow outside, it could be raining torrents. If you're out here on the farm with us, one, we're happy because you're out here with us. You're giving us that respect to come out and talk to us. So we're gonna make sure you have a good time.
You opened up this door. You talked about coming to get the wood. When I seen you know, when I was on the farm and I seen like those trailers that you had, and you mentioned how some part had logs on it, and then you cleared out that section, and all of that is where you're gonna be doing the boxes and the growing. What do you do with all the wood?
After we get done logging, we kind of have two buyers, and that's the networking that a farmer has to know. Like you got to know where something is needed and it is demand, or you know, you can turn over a profit from something you've done on the farm. Right. So we've been doing logging for about 4 years since I've been starting, and the heavy issue of logging was at the beginning. But with all the logs that we've had, we had to figure out what we was going to do. Freeman's, which is a logging company, is right down the railroad tracks from us. And then also we travel to Flemingsburg, where we also distribute our smaller logs that, you know, the bigger corporation doesn't want, because, you know, they want 50 foot, 25 foot to 50 foot so they can cut more boards. And full length. But the smaller one, you know, supporting small businesses in Flemingsburg, you know, takes our logs, and we have a great, you know, relationship right there. That's the kind of stuff I do on the farm, figuring out things to do when you don't have it, or a MacGyver, like, oh, we don't have a scissor lift or a forklift. Looks like I'm climbing, or looks like I'm, you know, holding this down and doing that. So
wow. How often are you guys planting trees?
For almost 2 years gone, we've tried to plant at least 2 fruit trees for every dead timber log or, you know, tree that we cut down. So it's like a 1 to 10 ratio. For every 10 trees we cut down, we try to put a fruit tree down, because we need the space. Like, a lot of these trees are, you know, covering up the fields and providing shade, and, you know, you need sunlight to grow things. So we had to do a lot of wooding that way. Plus, a spring popped up because we pulled a willow tree out. Like, it was 7 feet down, and we popped that bad boy out, and boop, boop, bloop, bloop, and it started filling up. Just had NCRS come out, the Natural Conservative, and we're taking a look at that to see what they can do for us, like in the cost share, to provide natural underground spring water. We don't know how abundant it is, but it's enough to fill up a 7-foot hole at a 5-foot radius.
You got a lot of
water right there. That's a little water right there. So
you ran yourself into some liquid gold.
I hope it's a large deposit. Hi, Bridge, call me.
So now here goes this other question. I didn't get to ask you. I didn't bring it up for everybody that's listening, because there's going to be some people that's just listening. There's going to be some people that are watching and listening. How large is the property? What things do you have going on there?
So it's a 22-acre farm. We're actually hoping to expand that with some of the land that's coming available surrounding the property. About 5 to 6 acres is solely just devoted to alfalfa and Timothy hay mix. That's a big money maker. Like I said, we have people traveling that call us from Georgia, Texas, and they hop in a truck and bring the dually on up, and they'll pull up at like 5 a.m. and we're loading in the morning and getting them out there. They took 500 bales or something. So we have that. Wow. Then we have the high tunnel, which we do our produce out, and we try to push that definitely into the late fall, where, you know, things become a little bit more scarce. So we start moving towards, you know, California to get everything, because it's still sunny. But we try to keep things going in that. And then 4 acres is also devoted to just straight corn fields, and now programming, doing a corn maze and stuff for later ventures later on. So we'll get everything we need from it, and then we'll turn that area into a recreational learning facility area.
Are there any other things that you want to mention before we close out here?
Definitely, if you're a young farmer, I would say this, because farming, I'm a younger farmer. Like, I mean, I'm not like in my early 20s or anything like that, where you'd be like, oh, that's still young. No, but for my age and even your age, we're considered young farmers. Like, after the Black Farmers Conference, I didn't realize how young we are compared to everybody that was speaking, everybody that's like the head in the game, the OGs in the game. Like, I'm a young farmer. I might not think it being 30, but you're a young farmer.
What was it? A gap of like, we had a gap of what, 20
years? Like, bruh, the next young farmer for us is 50. Like, that's crazy. So, yeah. So that's a whole different ideology, way of business. Because during the conference, you know, on that Saturday,
oh my goodness,
that's how different it is within, even in our culture, and even in all of agriculture, farming, is young ideas that's using technology and ease of access and marketing that way on Facebook and stuff, and Twitter and Instagram, versus going to the farmer's market and fighting with the Amish to see who's going to produce more or sell below the cut. And I ain't gonna lie, love the Amish is what they do. They do what they gotta do, but you ain't gonna beat no Amish people out, because they don't have gas. They don't need all the utilities that you have to bring into your price. So make sure you create a market for yourself where you don't really have to compete. And I know capitalism is about compete. Who's the best? That's open trade. But Some people just got a head in the game, and you ain't going to beat the Amish. It's hard to beat the Amish. Only one person I know in the state of Kentucky beats the Amish on a regular basis, and her name is the Green Goddess, Susan Miller. She's the only person the Amish come to. She the plug of vegetables. So if she sees this, I just want her to know I need the tricks. I need the plug, because somehow you have managed to make the Amish kneel before you as the vegetable lady. Because we've had terrible experiences going to farmers market, especially in new blood. It's like the rookie on a football team or something. You know, I'm gonna compare it. My freshman year in college was like a hell week. A hell week. Hey, rookie, you gotta go get the food. Oh, rookie, you gotta go do the like, man. Yeah, you gotta wait after practice, or you gotta go lift it. I'm like, man, come on. So when you became a sophomore, you're like, well, Miss Susan Miller, I don't think she was ever a freshman. She just came out the gate in the game. So that's what I would say is make sure you create your own market and advertise yourself, and don't like put all your eggs in a bundle when it comes to going to farmers markets. Like, unless you're like running the farmers market and you've been there and it's something new, yes. But if it's been there for like 70 years and I'm not saying run away from it, but just know you're coming into the game. And I understand, my uncle used to tell me this analogy. You go into a grocery store, you go down the bread aisle, how many different selections of bread is there? 20, 30 different brands, right? Maybe even the same company makes 2 different brands from week. So clearly there's a need for it, but at the same time, people find that one bread and they keep going back to that bread. So you got to make yourself that one bread for people, even though you're going to be in an area where there's a lot of people making the same bread.
I'm glad everybody got the chance to listen to this episode. Again, that was Tatum Lewis from Blackroots Farm in Winchester, Kentucky. I am, again, your host, Vaughn Barnes of the Blackberry series. This is the Community Farm Alliance podcast. And remember, real change comes from the ground up. Until next time, peace.